Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today I come back with another video which was requested by some of my YouTube community, and people asked me to make a video on this, and I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for the love. Please drop in a like for all the videos, and if you really like my channel, please subscribe and do help me out there. Today I'm gonna focus on this topic that was brought to my notice, and I was willing to do this video because I think this is super helpful information that I seeked when I was applying. And this will actually focus on show you how to easily and quickly fill the form. Again, I am no lawyer. I'm just going to go through my experience. If you need additional help or additional resources, you need to reach out to those people if you have any specific criteria that you have. So stay tuned and check this out. And checklist required, again, this is for informational purposes. You can go check that out. I'm just gonna quickly show you the document checklist. Document checklist, again, there is a must send items on their documents. Photocopy of your permanent resident card, don't forget that. The fees, which is 725, 640 plus 85, that is 725. Don't forget that. And if you reside outside the United States, there are certain things you need to send, which is 2 identical photographs with your alien registration number from your green card, a number, and there are certain additional things that you need to do if you're outside. Copies, unless they ask original, don't send your original. They will not send you back. So make sure you read the instructions that you need to take. If you're applying through an attorney, of course they're going to help you out. They will help you fill an additional form along with your application. If you changed your name, etc., if you based on marriage, divorce, etc., you need to make sure you have your name change documents. When you're applying through your spouse, there are certain documents that you need to send. Evidence of the spouse being a US citizen for the last 3 years. Your spouse's birth certificate, if she has gotten citizenship through birth. If she has gotten her naturalization previously, you need to send her naturalization certificate of naturalization or certificate of citizenship. It's either or, so any of these based on what qualifies for your case should be sent. And inside and outside the cover of your spouse's current passport or birth of citizenship abroad. So if your spouse's parents were diplomats or like military service members, and if your spouse was born maybe in a military base abroad or like outside of United States, but they are United States citizen since their parents were US citizen. So if you qualify for that, you need to send that document. And then it's either or of these. And then point number 2 is your marriage certificate. Of course, if you're applying through marriage, this is a mandatory requirement to not miss that. Number 3, proof of termination of all marriages. Like if something of that sort happened to you, make sure you have proof of all marriages, your divorce decree, annulments, etc., because this is super important if you have those situations. Number 4, documents referring to you and your spouse. So this is mentioned but not limited to, right? Your tax returns, bank documents, mortgage statements, your children's birth certificates where both your names are there. Any and every document which has both your names in it, it's not that they're limited to these things. You can send as many as you can. IRS copies, you can go to irs.gov and get your transcripts for the last few years. 3 years is more than enough. And if both your names are on it, filing taxes jointly, super important. Print all those, and if you have PDF, download it, and if you're applying online, you can upload it. You can also upload transcripts, but again, you can send as many as you can, but the necessary amount should be there. If you're married before, again, if you had previous marriages, make sure you send all these requested documents. If you're currently in US service member, please check the necessary documents for that. And again, if you've taken a trip being a permanent resident for more than 6 months, that is super important for them. If you're a permanent resident, you need to live more in United States than in any other country. So if you have done that, that might potentially disqualify you. So make sure you provide the right information. You can go and go to cbp.gov and check your I-94s. They know the entry and exit dates, so you can retrieve that. And then if you have a dependent spouse, that do not live with you, you read through this, make sure don't miss anything, so on and so forth. And then there are lots of things that based on what you qualify, please read this. If you have ever been arrested or detained, you need to figure that thing out. If you're by law enforcement, by court, if you've been convicted, etc., if you need to go through all that and provide the right information. So please make sure you read through that. I'm not going to go through all of it. And this is again the summary of the charges. And this is the eligibility worksheet that I already showed you, which was done digitally. So this is all in terms of the document checklist. In this video, we are gonna talk about the form. So I'm just gonna, again, it's a 20-page form. A lot of it is known information. I'm gonna quickly go through it. Again, if you are applying by mail, like how I did, you will follow this process. If you're applying digitally or online, there's a separate process which you basically fill these information like in terms of questions. So, but the questions are the same. First things first, for the N400 form is your information about your eligibility. The A number that you have on your green card, fill it here. Select the right option basis of your qualification. Is it based on the 5 years, or is it 3 years based on marriage, etc., or any other qualification? Select the right option. Part 2, we go into part 2, information about you. Make sure you enter the correct legal name, no nicknames, last name or family name, first name and middle name if you have any. If not, put NA. Again, name exactly as it appears on green card. Most likely it'll be the same as mentioned here. Any other names that you've been using since birth. So if in case you're married and you legally change your name would have been different before marriage. So make sure you enter that correctly. Part 4 is important. If you wish to change your name, you can do so at this stage. If you feel like going from a Tom to maybe like Harry or something, you can change it here. So you can legally change your name for no cost. But once you get your citizenship naturalization certificate, changing your name is another. You need to go to court to do that. So they give you that option. You can pick yes or no. I picked no. And then again, you can enter how you want your new name to look like. You enter it here. Then you enter your social security if you have one, your USCIS account number if you have one, your gender, date of birth, when you became a lawful permanent resident, your original country of birth, your country of nationality. Most likely it can be same but can be different too. Some people are born in the United Arab Emirates, but they are Indian citizens. So like so on and so forth. And then go through, do you have any physical disability or mental impairment that that you cannot take the tests, etc. Based on what you qualify, yes, no. And then there are age-related exemptions for these tests. So if you're 50 and older, and you have lived in the US for 20 years and more, select that. If you're 55 and older and you've been 15 years permanent resident, you can select that. And 65 and older, and if you're 20 plus years of permanent resident, you can select that. If none of that qualify for you, just hit no. Do you need any interpreter or like a person to help you with whatever like impairments that you might have? Based on that, please select yes and then fill out the right thing and who's going to help you, etc. A, B, and C. And then again, like part 4 is contact information. Include your date and phone number, email address, work number. Fill that out quick. Information about you. This is super important. You have to fill your past 5 addresses that you have, past addresses of your previous 5 years. Starting with the current address, start filling it here. Put the proper dates. If you have lived with, lease or like rent, make sure you can put the right dates and you send the supporting leasing documents for that. Then you go into the one previous to your current address, go backwards, to you, how many ever addresses you have lived in the past 5 years. If it's more than 5, you can add an addendum. You can add another sheet of paper and then say like, this is addendum of part 5 and this is my next few addresses. Then you quickly go on to information about your parents. If neither one of your parents are US citizen, you directly can skip this section because you don't even need it, like myself. So I just hit, were your parents married before? Yes. But then I just put no. Is your mother US citizen? And then I just left this blank. Is your father US citizen? No. And I just left this blank. Then I quickly go on to biographic information, part 7. Hispanic or non-Hispanic, based on what you qualify, you select that. Select your race. I selected Asian. Gave my most accurate height, my weight, my eye color, my hair color. Make sure you give the right information. Usually sometimes your eye color, hair color is in your driver's license. So make sure you actually give the right information. And then you go into your information about employment and schools. So if you are a student, obviously you will start entering your university information. If you are you work somewhere, make sure again you give your previous 5 employers, I think for 5 years. So you can have 1 employer or 4 employers based on what you have. Starting with your most recent employer, their name, street address, etc., all the details, and date from when you started. If you're still working, you can just say to present day, and then you put your occupation here, and then you keep going there. And if you've had more than 5, 3 to 5 employers in the past 5 years, you can add an extra sheet and fill that information saying that this is addendum from part 8. And if you would have noticed, every page has the alien number, so you just go and fill it in every page. Part 9 is super important. You have to make sure you were not outside of the United States for a period of time. So for a period of time and for the times you've been out. So make sure how many days, 24 hours or longer, were you out of United States in the past 5 years. So make sure you go in, check all your previous trips, and calculate the right number, put in those number of days. And then of course, those will translate into number of trips, right? If you've been to India for 3 visits, for like a total of 50 and 50 and 20 days. So the total number of days would be 120 in that case, and then number of trips would be 3, right? And then the details, you will actually enter it here, right? Day you left United States, 12/01/2019. Make sure you check your flight ticket, add it. The day you returned would be 1/1/2020, right? So this is 30 days. Trip was not more than 6 months. Country you visited would be India in that case, and then total days would be 30 or 31. Calculate it correctly and add it, and that you will keep adding that. And if you need more space, again, add another sheet of paper, and you can just use MS Word and create the same box and just add those things. So add that, then all total this up, and then add that total number here. And then if you have 1, 2, 3 trips, add it here. make sure you do it correctly. Don't make a mistake on that. The next part 10 is about marital history or marital history, however you want to say it. What's your current marital status? Married, based on whatever you're qualifying for. If you are married, is your current spouse in the US Armed Forces? Yes, no. How many times have you been married? If it's one, just say one. If you're married now, who's your current legal spouse? Enter all that information. Spouse's previous legal name, make sure you enter that, and any other names and aliases, etc. Spouse's date of birth, and when you got married with this current spouse. So make sure you read every line carefully, don't get confused. Current spouse's present address. Again, if you live together and if you're married, everything's normal. You will enter the same address that you entered in the previous parts. So, and then you provide your, spouse's employer or company name. Is she a US citizen? Yes. Was she a US citizen from birth? If yes, just say like that. If not, you have to give all the information when your spouse became a US citizen, naturalization, all that stuff, fill it up here. And part within this question number 8 is, if your spouse has been married to someone else previously, if yes, no, based on that, you have to give all that information, right? So it's a lot. I mean, some people, I mean, it's normal. I mean, people have that situation. They have to fill all the legal, jargon documentation. And again, if you were married before, if in now the question number 9 is, if you were married to someone else before, and now if you're with someone else, you need to give all your previous spouse's details. And then part 11, I mean, for us, you have to fill out, how many children you have. Again, this can be your biological children, your children from previous marriage, current marriage, etc. Like based on what you have, like for example, it's mentioned here, right? All children under 18 who are alive, missing, deceased, children born in the United States or in other countries, legal adopted children, stepchildren, biological children, from children when you had, before marriage, if you had, all that thing needs to be given. So fill that out. Make sure you give every information, child 1, 2, 3. And if you have more than 5 children, please add another sheet of paper and make sure you give the information. Part 12 is information about you. Again, a lot of series of yes, no questions. Again, do not get intimidated by it. You have to give the right information. Make sure you haven't voted before becoming a citizen. Make sure you haven't claimed anywhere. Like, even some people on social media and stuff, right? Don't try to do that, right? Have you ever voted in any federal election? So ideally, all answers should be no, right? You shouldn't be doing all these things if you haven't become a citizenship yet. And if you're born in another country and do you have any, are you, like a prince or a king or any hereditary title? If you have, yes, becoming a US citizen, you might have to give that up. So make sure you are ready to do that. And please read through all of this. Do you owe any federal taxes? Again, to become a US citizen, you have to be an honest, law-abiding citizen. So do not don't be like, I don't want to pay taxes. And like, if you have overdue from multiple years, make sure it's a no. But again, if you say yes, you have to show the paperwork with the IRS that you have a payment plan, that you're going to pay everything. So make sure you figure that out. Go through these series of questions. Make sure if you say yes to anything, make sure you have proper documentation to support it. Most of the answers ideally should be no. But again, I'm not going to go through each of it. Make sure you read each of it and answer the right things. There are certain questions for the military. So if you are in the military, make sure you answer those appropriately. And then again, if you have ever been in jail or prison, yes, no. If you've been on parole, yes, no. Depending on all, what you qualify for, make sure you give honest answers and give the right information. And then if you answered anything from 23 to 28, yes, you need to inform the details here. Why were you arrested, detained, or charged? Date arrested, detained, or charged. Any like any interaction with the law enforcement, you have to give that information and make sure you have supporting documents and whatever citation disposition that you need. And then another set of yes no questions. I mean, the armed forces questions are actually here, so make sure you properly answer them. Go through each and make sure you make the right judgment. And if you're question number 44, actually, even I got confused. Are you a male who lived in the United States at any time between 18 and 26? Yes, I did. But that time I was a lawful non-immigrant. So actually I can answer no. But if you were, a green card holder between 18 and 26, and if you registered for selective service, make sure you enter those details here. And then the last 5 questions before we wrap this up is, these are really important, right? They'll ask you this even during the interview. Do you support the Constitution of the United States and the form of government? Yes. Do you take the full oath of allegiance? Yes. They will make you take the oath when you take the in the naturalization ceremony. Are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance? Yes. If law requires it, are you willing to bear arms? Mostly it's yes, but some people, if they say no, they need to have any religious or like some supporting document on why they might not do that. If law requires it, will you perform non-combatant services in the armed forces? Yes. If law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance? Yes. And then you say that I have read all this on my own consciously and signed. I hit A. If somebody else interpreter has done it for me, I'll click B. And if somebody has prepared for you other than yourself, you will hit a checkbox here and write their name. And then lastly, you will sign it and date it. And if somebody else did it for you, this is for them. If somebody else prepared it for you other than yourself, section 15 is for them. And the last thing is part 18. And if you had any renunciation, if you have any foreign titles, you write all that information and you leave it. You actually do not complete. That's what I was looking for. 16, 17, and 18 is not what you even look at. You end it here. And this is going to be taken care of in the interview. So do not write anything on 16, 17, 18. Leave it blank. Just fill it until here. You sign it and date it in part 13, applicant signature certification, and then you should be done. So I hope this form filling process helped you. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to do my best in terms of helping people going through this process. I hope this was useful to you, and do give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Just as an FYI, I'm not in the law field or not a lawyer. I'm just fairly giving you an example of how I filled my own form, and I hope you guys like this video. So with that, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much. Take care and peace.